That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Questions and staying curious and
talking. They were asking questions after last week's episode.
Why is that?
Because some people didn't get the Sister Christian reference.
I think I was one of them.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
So the whole time we were doing the episode, all I could think about was, what's your price for a flight? Hey, Peter.
Hey, Cecil. It's good to be back. Good to be back with the That Don't Sound Right community. I hope everyone's doing well out there. Hope everyone's asking questions and staying curious and talking.
They were asking questions after last week's episode.
Why is that?
Because some people didn't get the Sister Christian reference.
I think I was one of them.
Oh, were you?
Yes.
So the whole time we were doing the episode, all I could think about was, what's your price for a flight? Which is in the Christian, Sister Christian. So right. Night Ranger from the 80s.
Yeah, I know the song. I was running through the lyrics, but I didn't get the price for flight part of it.
It's motoring. What's your price for flight? For finding Mr. Right. And so that's where that's where it came from.
Something tells me that that particular episode is not going to hit off a lot of Google searches.
Unless you're searching 80s music.
Right.
But there were people that got it. You either got it or you didn't get it.
Yeah, I was in the second camp.
Yeah. So
who got it? Did someone tell you? Who's
like Christy immediately texted me and said, I get it.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
She's spot on.
Yeah.
She's spot on.
Yeah. But no, that song was going through my head the entire episode.
So here we are in Memorial Day weekend. You got any plans?
I have a daughter coming home, so we'll celebrate with her.
Okay.
And but we'll be around the house.
Very good. Are you a water sports family?
We like to be on the lake. Yes.
Yes. Really good.
Do
you own a boat?
Ski.
You don't own a boat, do you?
No. I always like to have a friend that owns a boat.
Do you have a friend that owns a boat?
In fact, that needs to be words of wisdom one time. It's better to have a friend that has a boat than to own a boat.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Now, I was just talking with a coworker. He works remotely now down in Florida. And I said, well, have you changed your hobbies? Are you getting a boat? And he said, well, I've got plenty of friends with boats. And I just tell them that I pay for the gas, I pay for the beer, I pay for the bait.
Yep.
I bring the tackle if you want. You just bring the boat.
Yes.
I think that's a pretty good. So that brings up that may bring up some words of wisdom, or an observation.
What's that?
It's the two. So should we do this?
The 2 happiest days.
The 2 happiest days of a boat owner's life. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of this.
It's the day you buy the boat, and the second most happiest, most glorious day is the day you sell the boat.
Yes. My cousin just recently bought a boat, and I won't co-opt his story, but he had a pretty exciting story of his first days with his first boat. Maybe I can get him on one night.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Boat stories. So speaking of boat stories.
Yep.
So this one will conjure up the phrase, that don't sound right, when I'm about to tell you.
Now you've kind of prepped me for this, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've just told you what it is. It's called the Great Loop.
Yes.
All right, it's called the Great Loop. And I found out about this from a guy who was retiring. And we were talking about what he was going to do. And he says, I'm going to go do the Great Loop. I'm like, you're going to do the Great Loop? What are you talking about? What's the Great Loop?
I've never heard of the Great Loop.
Well, he has a boat,
right.
a bigger boat.
Right.
And you can circumnavigate the East Coast in a boat and never have to get on land.
Circumnavigate.
You can start on the Mississippi, go south, go around Florida, go up the East Coast, circle around up through the Great Lakes, and come back down and end up in the same spot
on the Mississippi?
On the Mississippi River.
That don't sound right.
I know it doesn't. I know it doesn't, but you can.
So do you know you can?
I know you can. This is a thing. This is a very popular thing. So there's a couple things that you need.
Right.
First, you need a boat that has some pretty good range because there's some stretches where you need to have good range. But the big thing is you can only have a boat that drafts 4 feet deep, 4 to 5, but 4 feet's kind of the number you shoot for. And the draft is how deep in the water the boat sets.
So you've got to have range and low draft.
Yes. And you can also have an air draft of about 15 feet because of some low bridges you got to go under.
What kind of boat would you do?
Well, believe it or not, they're called tugboats and they're called trawlers. And they look like a tugboat. They look like a trawler, but they are recreational boats. They're not work boats. And so you can get a boat that's 30 foot long and meets those requirements.
That's a 4-foot draft, doesn't rise above 15 feet.
Yeah.
And you got range on it.
Doesn't that sound fantastic?
It sounds great. It just sounds unbelievable.
So what the route that you take, and the obvious route is let's start in Memphis, Tennessee, on the Mississippi River.
All right, and the Mississippi's big there. So I've been on the Mississippi.
Sure.
In a boat.
Okay.
All right, so all that's very navigable.
Go south.
Yep.
Till you hit
New Orleans.
New Orleans, you get the Gulf. You skim the Gulf Coast of Florida.
Well, I'm with you all the way out of New Orleans and up.
Now you can go around the Keys, or you can cut through the Everglades. There's a canal that you can cut the whole part of Florida off
with 4.
Yes.
With 4 feet of draft.
Yes, that's right. There's
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then you swing up north, and then you make it into the Intercoastal Waterway.
Okay, I'm in the Intercoastal Waterway.
All right, so I'm getting you up to the Intercoastal Waterway.
So you don't take the sea route out?
You could, but you can pretty much stay off the ocean until you get up to
Maryland.
Nope. So in Maryland, you're going up through the Chesapeake Bay.
Yes.
And then there's a canal that takes you to the Delaware Bay.
Okay, well, we got to back up just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so you're saying there's a canal across the Everglades.
Yeah, right.
A navigable canal across the Everglades.
That's right.
See, that's new to me too.
I was surprised because when you look at the different maps of the Great Loop, you can either swing around the Keys or you notice on the map there's a straight line. What's that straight line? Well, that's the canal to the Everglades.
I've been all the way across the Everglades.
All right, in an airboat?
No, in a car.
Okay.
And so I've driven from the East Coast to the West Coast of Florida through the Everglades.
Is that Alligator Alley?
Alligator Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't remember the canal.
There's a canal.
Of course, I wasn't looking for the canal.
No, there's probably not. It's probably not even near the Alligator Alley. It's probably somewhere else.
So now you get on the Intercoastal Waterway.
Right. Yeah.
But you've got to still go through the Great Dismal Swamp area on the Intercoastal Waterway, which I know is navigable. But I would think you would really get some shallow areas in there. But you're saying it's 4 feet at least.
Yes.
So now you've cleared the Great Dismal Swamp. You're into Chesapeake Bay.
Right. You're going
the Intercoastal
north.
Waterway gets you how far north?
What's that?
How far north does the Intercoastal Waterway get you?
So once you get to Delaware, that's where it got a little fuzzy to me. But I think you can swing around, and there's some waterways around the Ocean City area. But eventually, you do have to pop out onto the ocean for a little ways. That's about where you need to do it, around New Jersey and the New York City area.
Okay.
You have to pop out onto the ocean.
So then you're kind of up around
Long Island.
Long Island.
Yeah.
But once you get north there, you're at what? St. Edward's Island?
No. You go up the Hudson River.
Really?
You go straight up the Hudson River.
Which dumps you into a great lake.
It does not.
Where's it going? Or to a bay?
It'll take you all the way up to Montreal. And there's a series of canals that get you onto the St. Lawrence River. And then the St. Lawrence Waterway takes you down through a series of locks. And there's locks on the Hudson.
Right.
A series of locks that get you onto the Great Lakes. Then what do you do about Niagara Falls? Well, there's a canal that bypasses Niagara Falls. So you can take a canal down to...
Really?
I think that's Lake Erie now. So you start in Ontario, then you go to Erie. Then there's canals that connect you over to Lake Michigan and Lake Superior. And then, where are you? You're at Chicago.
Right.
Then you take, there's a canals that connect you over to the, I think it's the Des Plaines River.
Right.
And there's a series of locks there because this is
Right.
Big time barges are.
I would think there would be locks around Niagara too, but it's a canal.
That's right.
It's not locks.
No. There is. I believe there are some locks.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
it's a pretty
It's a big
big elevation
drop.
drop.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah, there's some locks, and then that eventually dumps you to the Illinois River, and then now you're on the Mississippi, and you can go south. Now then you do have the option.
Huh.
You do have the option that you don't have to go down the Mississippi if you don't want. You can get on the Tennessee Tom Waterway, which pops you over through Alabama.
The Tennessee Tom Waterway.
I think it's called the Tennessee Tom Waterway.
I have never heard of it.
It's another navigable river that's less crowded with barge traffic on the Mississippi.
If you've ever been on the Mississippi, it's daunting.
Well, it sounds like it. It sounds like, I mean, I was looking at some of the maps and thinking, how do you get around a barge that's really cranking upstream, and you got to get around them.
Right.
And the currents that are there are supposed to be very, very tough to navigate.
Yes.
But people do it all the time.
Yeah.
So the craziest story I heard about this, all right?
So do you know someone that's done it?
I don't know anyone who's done it, except for this guy who's retiring.
Right.
I never found out what he did.
Right.
You know, what the end result of that was.
Right.
But the this one guy, he decided he just wanted to do it.
Right.
As quick as he could, because he really dreamt about floating down the Mississippi like Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. So he got himself a tri-hull 25-foot catamaran, pontoon boat.
Right.
It's a pontoon boat. And he does it in a pontoon boat. He just stops at marinas and he Ubers or taxis to a hotel every night, gets back on, guns into the next marina, and repeats. Takes him 2 months to do it. It's over 6,000 miles.
That's pretty incredible.
It normally takes people about 6 months or about 100. Like the one map I saw was 140 days.
Now I want to get somebody on the show that's done it.
I maybe someone who listens knows someone who's done it. That'd be really fantastic.
I would love to hear. I would love to hear what happens to the Great Dismal Swamp. I'd love to hear about the Everglades.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about going through all these locks. So there's probably 50 locks that you have to go through.
Well, I've often wondered about that, separate from even knowing about the Great Loop. Can you imagine being a sailboat or a small boat going into a lock?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's got to be pretty daunting.
And they usually put.
I've used daunting twice now.
They usually put. I've seen photographs. They'll put several boats in the lock at a time.
Yeah.
They can all fit.
And after what happened last year, you have to know what you're doing in a lock, because that one guy drove this. He drove the ship into the side of the lock.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this looks great. I mean, doesn't that sound? Every day would be completely different.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You got to plan out your route. Where you're going to stop? Do I have enough fuel?
Yeah.
Am I deep enough? Am I tall enough? What's the weather going to be like? I mean, it sounds super fun. Some people do the marina thing.
Yeah.
Some people anchor out.
Right.
But man, and then you should see some of the boats they take. I mean, it's a wide range of yachts.
Right.
But it's these trawlers and tugs that are the most interesting.
Right, because of you have to have. Yeah, I can just imagine you get into some shallow stuff.
Oh yeah.
And you don't want to get it stuck.
No, you don't want to get stuck.
Never heard of it. And that don't sound right.
I'm telling you.
You definitely got me on that.
That's right. There, you got a map right in front of you. You can see how.
I know.
How
Camille brought me a map for the thing.
That's how it works.
So I've been.
Oh, so you have two options at the top of the Hudson. So you can either go all the way up to Montreal, or before you get to Canada, there's the Erie Canal, and it's still navigable.
Huh.
And you take the Erie Canal all over Lake Erie.
That's impressive.
And
that makes me want to read about it or talk somewhere about it.
The other cool thing is when you look at it, at some point in time, the canal starts flowing the other way.
The Erie Canal?
Yeah. Because the locks are all pointing one direction for a while. And then you get in the middle of it, and then when you cross over the other side, the locks are going the other direction.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Lock systems are fascinating to me anyway. I told you I went and saw the locks on the Potomac this year, which I didn't know existed. And so they built a series of locks around the Great Falls on Potomac.
Right. Were they operational? When I was a kid, we used to go watch them do reenactments with the wooden barges.
These are not operational.
And the horses with the tow.
Yeah.
Towing them down the tow path, and they pull into a lock and they raise it for you and low. It's pretty wild.
Well, and that's what I was telling somebody. It's like I would have come to the Great Falls. I may have been telling you that I would get to the Great Falls and I would be just like, okay, guys, this is it.
This is it. We're done.
But somebody looks at that and says, no, we can get around.
We can get around that.
Yeah.
Well, so many of these locks, like on the Hudson River and the St. Lawrence, and even on the Des Plaines River, I think it was called. The river actually went into some really shallow areas and into rapids or small waterfalls, and that's where you find a lock.
Yeah.
That's how they got around it.
Yeah. There's another set of locks on the James River. I'm sure there's several sets of locks on the James River, but the one I went to see was near Peaks of Otter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's a lock system there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's a footbridge now across the James, right there, right at Peaks of Otter. But there's a, I forget the name of the trail, but you can go across the footbridge and then there's locks on the other side.
Right,
And
yeah.
they're not operational anymore.
Right,
They had the thing. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Everyone's trying to figure out how to get up the river.
Get around
up the river.
But the fact that you can still do it now
Yes.
is
In a motorboat.
incredible. Yeah.
That is pretty neat.
Yeah. Man, I'm glad you got me on that. Well, we had some words of wisdom for tonight, but I think we should use the words of wisdom we've already said that the best thing to have when you have a boat is to have a friend with a boat.
That's right.
Always have a friend with a truck, a boat, and a trailer.
There you go. That's right.
Mountain house, beach house. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still working on those.
I had a mountain house for a while
Did you now?
at Appalachian State
All right.
for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It wasn't a house, it was an apartment.
Okay. All
And
right.
it was occupied by
Right.
my college daughter. But
That's
I could
right.
say I had a mountain
You
place
had
for
a
4
mountain
years.
place.
So,
That's funny.
well, I know that it doesn't sound right, but you've come to the end of another episode of That Don't Sound Right.
Already that don't sound right.
I know. This one flowed along, man.
Well, good.
No pun intended.
No pun.
Yeah. Well, keep talking.
And stay curious.